In a beach area far from the city of Las Vegas, a group of young people decides to have a party on the sand, where they have fun with various challenges, music and drinks. To make things more interesting, Mitch, one of the guys in the group, tells everyone to put away their cell phones, saying they'll only get them back when the party ends. While everyone is partying wildly, Vance and Gilbert are tasked with finding wood for the bonfire, but when they return, they tell the others they found something gigantic, disgusting and bizarre, with a somewhat frightening face. Even though they're scared of what they saw, the young people, being very drunk, don't care and continue doing what they were doing normally. The next morning, the party is over, and some of the young people stayed there after a whole night of revelry. Kaylee and Mitch wake up in the lifeboat and decide to leave. But when they're almost down from the tower, the girl sees a tiny bird trapped on the ground, and after a few seconds, the creature is completely eaten by the sand. In a car next to the cabin, the rest of the group wakes up, and Shonda notices that her friend Mara is still passed out, sleeping on one of the wooden tables. So that everyone can leave together, the young woman calls for her friend, who wakes up feeling nauseated after drinking too much the night before. When she notices that the girl is almost touching the ground, Kaylee tries to warn Mara that something is wrong with the sand, but she doesn't hear and gets down from the table. As soon as she touches the ground, Mara's feet get suddenly stuck, as if something had grabbed her. Confused by what's happening, she tries to use her hands to free herself, but this only makes things worse. Her hands get caught, making her scream desperately as she's slowly swallowed. Concerned, Vance decides to get out of the car to save his friend. But as soon as he tries to run to her, he falls and gets trapped in the sand immediately. Panicking with all the chaos, the young people try to find a way to save Vance, who is screaming more and more for help. Mitch quickly throws a lifeboat in the young man's direction and asks him to hold on so they can pull him to the cabin. But the young man can no longer move, and shortly after, his face is melted by the sand, which after finishing him off, takes his body underground along with Mara. Hey, what would you do if you were trapped on a beach where if you touched the sand, you would turn into pudding? The movie I'm going to summarize is called The Sand. It's a bad movie, but very good. I don't know if you could understand. I laughed throughout the entire movie, especially in the part involving the chubby guy. It's a movie that mixes horror, which doesn't have any horror, suspense, fiction, and comedy. Before getting into the summary, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and leave a like to receive the best recaps. Terrified by the sudden death, the young people try to understand what might be underneath and how they can escape. In panic, Ronnie says the beach might have been affected by chemicals used by the government in crazy experiments. Jonah thinks this is impossible and believes it could be a type of quicksand capable of melting human skin, and that they could release the young man if they could dig him out. Shonda suggests the group try to talk to the police so they can ask for a rescue. Hearing this, Gilbert says the cell phones might still be working and asks where they are. The problem is that thanks to Mitch's stupid idea, all the cell phones are still in the car trunk, which ran out of battery after being parked with the headlights on all night. To learn more, Kaylee goes to the edge of the stairs, and when she brings her hand close to the ground, sees a bunch of tentacles in the sand, which try to pull any living thing that comes near. At this moment, Gilbert wakes up and sees that he was placed inside a metal barrel with a childish drawing on the face. He gets furious and orders the young people to take him out of the object while trying to twist to get out. Wanting to prevent the chubby guy from being swallowed by the beach, the rest of the group warns him about the situation, and after learning about the death of his two friends, Gilbert despairs and struggles even more. Trying to calm him down, Mitch says the tide will rise in the next few hours, allowing the young man to leave the place safely, so all he needs to do is control himself and wait. After calming the situation, Kaylee questions Mitch, saying that the tide won't rise enough to save Gilbert, and the young man says he only said that to make his friend believe he'll survive. Several hours pass and the group is still trapped on the beach, burning more and more in the sun since they have no way to escape. In the lifeboat, Kaylee rummages through the compartments and finds a box of matches, which she decides to keep for an emergency. The girl also takes a sunscreen and quickly delivers it to her friends who are trapped in the car so they can protect themselves from the sun's burns. Analyzing the events, they come together to remember the previous night, and Kaylee says everyone who participated in the party camped on the beach. At this moment, the group realizes that all the other members have already been eaten by the sand, leaving only their things behind. While Jonah delivers sunscreen to Gilbert, who is frequently being burned by the sun, Kaylee looks at the beach and notices that the giant object brought by Vance and Gilbert the night before is open. Looking at the pieces, the group realizes it could be an alien egg that opened when everyone was asleep. Hearing this, Gilbert gets desperate and starts rocking in the barrel again. But Kaylee calms him down and says this creature probably isn't fully grown yet, so they still have a chance to survive. To discover the maximum distance the monster can attack, the girl takes a package of sausages and throws one of them far away. As soon as it touches the ground, the food is quickly devoured by the sand, and Kaylee says they can repeat this same process until they find the limit the creature can reach. Mitch tries to throw another sausage, but a seagull ends up catching the food and eating its meal right in front of Gilbert, who is indignant for not having received any food, but gets scared when he sees the bird being devoured. Before throwing the last sausage, Kaylee asks her friend to try to throw it in another direction, and by doing so, they finally find the point where the tentacles can't reach. Everyone is relieved with the new discovery, but Shonda says it won't make a difference because the place is too far away, and they don't have a safe way to get there. Furious that they have no way to escape, Jonah has an idea and takes the surfboards from the car to be able to walk safely on the beach. The idea actually works, and gradually he manages to approach the wooden table, but as soon as he puts his feet on the benches, one of the boards begins to slide along the ground, making the young man lose his balance and hang over the sand. At this moment, everyone panics as they see the creature's tentacles slowly reach Jonah's body, who screams in pain. To save himself, the young man jumps with all his strength, managing to cling to the table. But he notices that serious injuries were made to his stomach, causing him to lie down in pain. The rest of the group quickly tries to calm the young man, who manages to get up after a few minutes. Jonah rummages through one of the bags, where he finds plenty of food. While taking all this food, he drops a banana on the ground, and when he picks it back up, the young man notices that for some reason, the tentacles couldn't grab the fruit in time. With this, Jonah realizes that the creature couldn't appear in the same place where the bonfire was lit the night before, which means that fire is the only thing that can prevent it from spreading. This even allows the young man to step on the ground without any danger. But as soon as he stands up, he notices that the wounds on his stomach have worsened, leaving him even weaker and more desperate. Realizing that her friend isn't well, Kaylee tries to calm him down and asks him to throw some food to the rest of the group. Trying to stay strong, Jonah throws the supplies toward his friends, but just when he was about to throw one of the drinks to Mitch, he feels his wounds opening and writhes in pain. The can falls to the ground, and suddenly, Jonah's wound begins to worsen, causing extreme pain that makes him fall on the table. To make matters worse, the sand tentacles keep the boards away so that the young man is completely surrounded. At the same time, other tentacles attack the car, bursting all the tires and making it impossible for the young people to escape. Mitch believes that if the group can recover the cell phones, they can ask for help. So, Ronnie asks Shonda to open the trunk while she balances on the bumper to be able to fiddle with the container where the devices are stored. Before executing her plan, the girl says she wrote a farewell letter and that, if something happens, Shonda will have to deliver it to her mother. Very carefully, Ronnie is held by her friend and balances on the car bumper, managing to unlock the trunk. The problem is that every time the girl tries to open it, she slips and the fall causes the compartment to close. Even so, they don't give up and try to repeat the strategy several times, but without success, until Kaylee has an idea and takes the rescue hook from the lifeguards to be able to hold Ronnie. The girl manages to open the trunk, but at that moment a police car appears and starts honking at the group. Distracted by the noise, Ronnie ends up slipping again, causing her fingers to be crushed by the trunk. After getting close to the place, the policeman asks what the young people are doing there alone, since the beach is closed. Kaylee tries to explain about the creature under the sand and begs him to stay in the car, as this is the only way to stay safe. At the same time, Gilbert begs him to call the army, as what's on the beach could be a threat to the whole world. The problem is that the officer thinks the young people are on drugs and doesn't believe the reports. Getting out of the car normally, thanks to his boots, which are very resistant, the officer can walk calmly around the place, while the tentacles chase him, trying to grab him silently. To understand what's happening, the policeman examines Jonah's body, who is still very injured, with an infection that's getting worse and worse, while Ronnie's hand is still stuck in the car. At the time, he tries to get Gilbert out of the metal barrel, but the young man is too heavy and, even with the man's help, can't free himself. I keep wondering how they managed to put him in there. When he realizes he won't be able to help any of the young people, he asks Kaylee and Mitch to come down from the lifeguard tower so they can answer some questions. Desperate, Kaylee tries to explain the situation the group is in, saying that some of them are injured, others sick, and that there have already been deaths at the site, so they need to get out of there as soon as possible. As much as the policeman insists, the pair refuses to approach the sand, making him lose patience and take out his pepper spray to force them to come back. However, he ends up dropping the object in the sand and stretches his hand to recover it. At that moment, his hand is grabbed by the tentacles, which begin to pull him underground. Kaylee asks to use the pepper spray. The policeman uses it against the sand, allowing him to break free, but it's too late, as his arm has already been completely swallowed by the creature. Dazed by the pain, he can do nothing but scream in agony, while everyone watches the scene in horror. Disgusted that the man didn't believe her words, Kaylee goes to the end of the stairs and takes the spray, leaving the patrolman alone to be eaten by the monster. Now that they have a new tool, Mitch plans a way to escape, saying that as he's the fastest member of the group, he'll have a better chance of escaping and asking for help. He then decides that he'll wrap the towels around his feet and wet them with pepper spray, which will prevent the creature. He should have enough time to escape. So the young man asks Chanda to throw the towels to him, but as soon as he tries to catch them, a piece of the handrail is destroyed and he ends up falling from the beach cabin, getting instantly trapped by the sand. Desperate, Mitch starts screaming for help, saying he can't feel any part of his body anymore, but none of the members can reach him, causing him to be completely dominated by the creature in a few seconds. The sand tentacles pierce Mitch's throat and he suddenly stops moving. At this point, the young man's body is destroyed by the monster, which leaves only a large blood stain behind. Realizing that no one will be left if they continue to stay there, Kaylee composes herself and calms her companions so they can come up with a new escape strategy. The girl quickly removes another piece of the handrail and throws it to Chanda, who puts the pieces of wood together on the hood. With everything ready, she jumps on the car, and after joining her friend, they manage to free Ronnie and bandage her injured hand with a cloth to relieve her pain. At the same time, Kaylee tries to calm Gilbert and says they'll save him as soon as they find a way to reach the barrel, so all the young man has to do is wait. Shortly after, the trio positions the pieces of wood on the sand and walks slowly balancing until the table where Jonah is. Chanda manages to pass smoothly. Kaylee passes right after. But when it's Ronnie's turn, who is the last to cross the platform and halfway through notices that her wound is making her lose more and more blood, and the weakness makes her lose her balance and fall to the ground. As a result, she comes into contact with the ground, and as much as Kaylee tries to save her friend with the pepper spray quickly, the tentacles still manage to capture the girl where the spray didn't reach, who is quickly pulled underground. With only 4 survivors left, they continue their escape plan, and Chanda executes the strategy created by Mitch, wrapping her feet with the towels on which the spray was used, so she can run to the car. When they notice that Chanda managed to reach the car, Gilbert gets excited, as now they have a chance of survival. However, the celebration is interrupted by the creature, which infiltrates under the metal barrel and creates a tremor in the ground that begins to destroy the young man's body from the inside out. With no way out, Gilbert is completely devoured by the alien, which uses its true tentacles to pull him down to the beach, showing that it has already grown. Terrified by the death of her friend, Chanda starts crying, and the monster takes advantage of the distraction to attack the car, leaving the girl unconscious on the hood. During the night, the trio remains trapped on the beach until Kaylee finally manages to wake her friend, who had been passed out for several hours. While fiddling with the car, Chanda finds a lifeboat and throws it on the ground to inflate and use as a platform to move around the sand. Soon after, she gets close to the wooden table, and with Kaylee's help, they bring Jonah to the car, since the young man is totally weak from the pain of his wounds. Just when they were almost leaving, a huge tentacle comes out of the ground, and the tremor causes Kaylee to be thrown back into the lifeboat. The girl quickly runs to the car roof and tries to grab one of the fuel cans, but the monster makes another attack and grabs the object, throwing it away. Even so, Kaylee doesn't give up, and after taking the last can from the car, she gets up and pours the gasoline around the place, creating a circle of fuel around the car. Before the creature could launch its next attack, Kaylee took the box of matches she had found and lit the fuel trail, which set the monster's body on fire. As they witness the gigantic monster being burned, the girl returns to the car, where the pair tries to protect themselves from the countless bright tentacles that are trying to invade the car. In a few minutes, the creature finally retreats, leaving the young people alone. But when they look at Jonah, the girls realize that the young man is no longer alive, and crying, they say goodbye to their last friend. Realizing that they will have no choice but to wait for someone to show up, the girls hug each other and try to rest after a long day of fighting. The next morning, a surfer comes near the car, and noticing that everyone is unconscious, knocks on the window, which wakes the girls and opens the door. When they realize they can step on the sand without any problem, the girls are relieved, and after leaving Jonah's body in the car, they leave the place, which is now just a big hole where the alien had infiltrated. Right after we see the alien going to another beach, and so the movie ends. What rating would you give to this movie? Now, do you understand when I said the movie is bad but very good? Don't forget to activate the bell to be notified of new recaps. So until the next video,